Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDRs, but hey, it's something. That's right, everyone, I'm back! For real this time! The normal boring video schedule is back! The reason why I didn't bring a podcast earlier was because two things. One, I was sick. I was supposed to go on a vacation that week. That didn't happen because it was a tropical storm. Thanks, climate change. Then I was like, I don't have a video subject. Fuck. But then someone helped me and I got really sick. You could probably still hear a little bit in me, I don't want to describe it, but let's just say it was just one that I just could not talk at all. So yeah, even if I was sick, I probably would have still skipped that anyways, just because I literally could not think of a video subject to do on that. Because I was busy working on the video that was going to be released on Thursday, and, all my focus was on that, and I couldn't really find the time to focus on, an actual proper podcast reintroduction. But thankfully, I was able to do that this week, so, yeah. And hopefully I'll be able to get things back on track with that. But anyways, I'm pretty sure you guys probably want to know what the next episode is going to be. But before we tell any of that, which I'm probably not, let's get right into the news. First, here's a big news story that's very troubling. Hackers may have stolen your social security number. Well, there was a hacker. Here's what happened. A new lawsuit is claiming that hackers have gained access to the personal information of billions of individuals, including their social security numbers, current and past addresses, and the names of siblings and parents, personal data that could allow fraudsters to infiltrate financial accounts or take out loans in their names. The allegations arose in a lawsuit filed earlier this month by Christopher Hoffman, a California resident, who claims that his identity theft protection service alerted him that his personal information had been leaked to the dark web by the nationalpublicdata.com breach. Now, for those who know, there was a breach that happened I think the breach happened in April, but nobody was notified about this, and it literally leaked the social security numbers and names, addresses, or whatever of 2.9 billion people. Huh. Now, there are some sites that try to explain, there are some people and some sites that have tried to, ease the tensions a little bit, because there's some things that people need to point out. One of the big things that they need to point out is the fact that, one of the big things that I've seen is, a lot of Twitter accounts are trying to do, it's not that easy. You could do what, you could do 0, 1, trying to say, it's not that difficult to, literally, it's not difficult. If I literally smash the numbers on a keyboard and then just post it, that could probably be someone's social security number. Yeah. And then there's also no evidence that it could, it explicitly is it matches numbers with names. But I also I couldn't really find out any information about, how does this leak come about? Because that's one big thing that is very important. Because all it says is National Public Data. And I've tried to look up what is National Public Data, and it's a data firm that literally just has people's information, and it's where do they get it? I don't know. They don't tell me. They don't say it. And it's I don't know. But anyways, just keep that in mind. This is weird. The story broke out on the anniversary of Social Security. Literally, it's just it was the anniversary of Social Security, and then everyone was on this day, remember the wonderfulness of Social Security. And the other half are oh yeah, by the way, a month or two ago, we've literally just got all of our Social Security numbers just got hacked. Whoops. So yeah, basically all I can say is just be mindful of all your accounts and stuff. Go through all the proper means to try and get actual credible credit reports and stuff. I've been trying, but I'm not going to divulge any of that information. Just be mindful. Anyway, speaking of being mindful, you have to be mindful about your streaming service accounts, because Disney's doing a little Disney late stage capitalism. So here's what happened. So there was a couple, a beautiful, loving couple, and one of the couple was a doctor named Canaporn Taxon. They died in October of 2023 because her meal at Disney World was not allergy friendly. And he's, of course, tried to sue them for killing his wife. But Disney is trying to make the claim that since her widower had signed up for a Disney Plus account, legally, all of the situations regarding them and Disney have to be resolved by Disney exclusively. Now, anybody with functioning brain cells understands that terms and agreement means, like, if there's a problem with your Disney Plus account, you handle it through Disney's means, not if Disney kills my spouse, I have to handle things through Disney. But Disney is, of course, being, like, stupid. And the fact that Disney's literally just fucking openly stating this, that's just weird, right? Does this not seem like just insane to hear? And here's some sad news that I will know a lot of people will probably, I know there's someone in my Discord server where I shared this news story in there that they're like, well, Disney's on its end. It's like, Disney's not on its end. Dude, Disney's not ending anytime soon. Disney is not going to close down. It doesn't matter all the shitty business decisions they do. It doesn't matter all the shitty moral things they do. They're not closing down. I know this because Disney's made shitty business decisions and shitty moral decisions for its entire lifetime. Remember, this is the same company that said, you can't use Spider-Man on the gravestone of your dead cancer kid because that infringes on our copyright. This is the same studio that's like, ooh, those kids' hospitals with those Mickey Mouse things on it. And then, like, we're going to tear that shit down. The same companies are like, oh, this lemming shit is so boring. We're just going to throw lemmings off a mountain and just do that for fun. All of Disney's most recent movies have been shit. Like, literally every single movie that Disney's made in, like, the past couple of years, Disney has gotten a ton of shit for it. Whether it be the recent Marvel movies, whether it be the recent Star Wars movies, whether it be the recent Pixar movies, whether it be the recent Disney movies. Don't you remember, like, all of them get hated a lot. And they've, like, been not that good at the box office either. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Disney's too big to fail. They're a monopoly. And that's how it works. They're a monopoly. Disney has a monopoly on your childhood, guys. Don't you find it weird that Disney owns literally a majority of, like, the children's franchises of a bunch of literally? Why do we live in a world where one of the major comic industries is literally run by Disney, who also owns one of the major sci-fi franchises, who also owns one of the major animation franchises, who also owns one of the major sports franchises, you get my point. Disney is literally too big to fail. They cannot fail. Because if they fail, then the entertainment industry is kaput. It's why the subject of capitalism ruining our media is such a fascinating thing. Capitalism has ruined our media so fucking bad. Remember, everybody shits on the fact that everything's a reboot, everything's an adaptation, everything's a remake, a remaster, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, it's always this. Who do you think is the fucking people who started it? Disney. Disney started out as remixing and remaking fairy tales, and then making exclusive copyrighted versions of those fairy tales. Remember Pinocchio? Who's his cricket friend? Because if you said Jiminy, wrong. Jiminy is the Disney character. The cricket doesn't have a name, but Disney has superseded the original story. At this point, I'm just rambling. Let's just move on to the next topic, because this one's also interesting and is very bad. Donald Trump literally owns Jeffrey Epstein's jet now. Donald Trump's campaign confirmed the former president chartered a private jet this weekend that once belonged to Jeffrey Epstein. A campaign official told the Daily Beast on Monday afternoon that Trump and his staff had, quote, no idea, wink wink, that the Gulfstream G550 was once owned by one of the country's notorious sex traffickers. The officials said that the jet was provided by the company by a charter flight company. The campaign had obviously no idea the aircraft we rented was previously owned by Mr. Epstein, the official said, adding that Trump advisors only learned of the jet's shady past once journalists contacted them on Monday. Trump's camp said that he took only one flight on the jet, a relatively short 363-mile hop from Jackson Hole, Wyoming to Aspen, Colorado, where he was attending fundraisers on the campaign trail. He flew back to Florida on Sunday night in a separate chartered plane, as his private aircraft, Trump Force One, was still undergoing repairs in Montana. Now, another fact that is interesting of note is that one of Trump's friends is the one who actually bought this plane. Like, this is the thing. One of Trump's friends, who I think owns the company that charters this plane, he bought the plane. Like, when Epstein went to jail, he bought the plane. One of Trump's friends literally bought Epstein's jet. So, this insinuation that Trump didn't know, or the campaign didn't know who the jet is baloney. It's just flat out baloney. That is obviously fake. Think about it. It's like, especially considering, remember that the whole thing about Jeffrey Epstein is always like that he trafficked kids on the planes. Like, this is just a terrible look. It's like, remember, controversies in the Trump campaign. Oh yeah, Trump flew on a known pedophile's plane. Controversies with Kamala's campaign. She's black. Ooh. Honestly, there's not much else I can say about that. It's just weird, right? It's just weird. Like, oh yeah, coincidentally, Donald Trump flew Jeffrey Epstein's plane and had no idea that it was his plane. Even though the planes look exactly the same and have the same serial number, so there's no way that he would know. But why don't we end this with a little bit of a funny news story that's actually a quick transition to the main topic. Well, it's about a presidential campaign. A presidential campaign that you all probably have not heard about. And that is the 2024 campaign of Vermin Supreme. Now, we all know who Vermin Supreme is. If you're watching this channel, there is a very good chance that you know who Vermin Supreme is. Vermin Supreme is a very satirical, perennial candidate. A lot of his campaign focus is like literally just satire, like brush your teeth. We need to prepare for the zombie apocalypse. Once I'm president, I will travel back in time and kill baby Hitler. That kind of stuff. And apparently each of his his things are supposed to be like references to like actual political statements. Like where at one point he talked about how his toothbrushing initiative was actually going to help because it would be able to like check into your mouth and figure out all your crimes, which is like clearly like a reference to the Patriot Act. And he's very notoriously ping-ponged all across like the political spectrum. Vermin Supreme's actual political identification is of an anarchist, as he stated, but he has tried to make it a big point to kind of like, he just runs with everything. Sometimes he'll run in the Republican primary, sometimes he'll run in the Democratic primary, and most recently in 2020, he ran in the Libertarian Party primary because, well, it was just an easy gig, and he almost won the Libertarian Party nomination, which kind of showed, because like, during that campaign, Vermin Supreme started taking himself a little bit actually seriously. So it's like, oh, maybe he's actually going to do something. But no, he didn't win. So yeah, there's not much else to say about that. But Supreme has also gotten a bit of a controversy with the Libertarian Party, because ever since 2020, the Libertarian Party has been slowly taken over by the Mises Caucus, which for those who know is a far-right like group of paleo-libertarians, which are basically a mix of paleocons and libertarianism, who are basically Nazis. Yeah, they're basically just far-right Trump-supporting Nazis. But they took over the party, and Vermin Supreme has been very critical of them. And as such, Vermin Supreme, for his 2024 bid, he decided to publicly announce a leaving of the Libertarian Party, and he ran for the Democratic nomination again. He didn't win, obviously, shock of all shock, but he also is basically continuing, like with his 2016 bid, he always tries to continue his bid in the general election as well, just basically running on as a write-in candidate in a lot of states, trying to get a couple of fringe people to support him. But this time, he's taking a little bit of a different route. Like, he's actually tried to branch out and get on the ballot in a couple of states. His most notable example up to recently was Minnesota, where he sought the Legal Marijuana Now Party's nomination. And the recent notoriety for this time is that Vermin Supreme is running in the general election as the official nominee of the Pirate Party, which makes sense given the fact that a lot of the members of the Pirate Party are also kind of like libertarian expats. I made a video about them a little bit ago. But this is another, like, he hasn't been able to get on the ballot quite yet. At least up until recently, when it was announced that the Conservative Party of Delaware has officially put him as the nominee in that election. So yeah, if you're in Delaware, you actually get to be able to vote for Vermin Supreme. You know what? You can't really fault the man. The man did what he does best, and that's run for office. With all that out of the way, let us move on to the main topic of this video. The day this episode comes out will be the official beginning of the 2024 Democratic National Convention, which is where Kamala Harris will be officially nominated to be the Democrats' choice for president in 2024. Thus meaning the two major parties will have officially ended their nominating processes, thus officially beginning the general election. I know that the general election has technically began 3 times already, but shh. And with that, we can officially say that the 2024 presidential election has officially begun. And a lot has changed since I made a prediction video at the beginning of the year, although I can't quite put my finger on what changed. And I presume that there will be some changes by the time I make my final prediction video, because yes, I will be making another prediction video for the 2024 election, and I already have it scheduled. It will be the day before the general election, November 4th. You see, I made my first prediction video at the beginning of the year, basically being like, that's how I feel that the races are going to go with how things are going, like, very early on, with like, races weren't even officially finished in a lot of areas. So it's just like, yeah. This one, a lot of places, not only for the Democratic or Republican, like, not only for the major parties and the presidential race, but there are a lot of down the ballot races that have officially, like, nominated their parties and candidates, and, like, yeah. So we're just gonna go over some of that and be like, yeah, here are my predictions for how the 2024 elections will go. At least the federal ones, because, let's be real, all but 2 governor's races are safe, so I can't really talk about them. One of them is home state representation, but you'll get my opinion on that kind of generally when I get to the, like, look over of other races that are going on. And this way, like, we're going to do it in a little bit of a different order. You see, instead of going, like, House, Senate, Pres, or something like that, or Pres, Senate, House, or whatever, we're going to start off with the Senate, then we're going to talk about the presidential race, then we're going to talk about the House races, and that's really because of one big thing, and we'll get into it when we get into it. Without further ado, let's talk about how I think the Senate races are going to go. Of course, as we all know, there are only 7 Senate seats that are in play. Like, realistically, there are only 7 seats that are actually in play. There are some people who are hoping for, like, other Senate races to possibly pull out. Like, I mean, let's be real. I'll just say here, I'm not counting Texas as of yet, because I haven't seen anything from Texas that truly indicates that Texas is flippable. I think I might have said in the first one that Texas might have been flippable, but as of the races right now, I'm not seeing any flippable Texas. Maybe by the time the next video has to come out, like the next, like, prediction video, maybe by then things will change. I don't know. But as of now, let's talk about the 7 that are actually, as of right now, considered flippable. First, we'll start off with Pennsylvania, because for all intents and purposes, I see it as a safe blue seat. Like, I'm sorry, it's not impossible for the Republicans to win this seat, much like it's not impossible for the Republicans to win any seat, even California. But really, from what I've seen, it does not seem that way. Casey's won by a large margin before. I think for all of his races, he's won by pretty decent margins. And the state itself has kind of generally just shifted away from being more swingish. It's still possibly a swing state. It is a swing state. The margin is still relatively close. But this race is pretty much done deal, I'll be real. Like, even if we just go like, okay, but like, let's ignore the rating. Like, the ratings say toss-up, but what about the polling? Well, if you just look at the polling, Bob's doing really well. So again, as of now, I have to say blue seat. Wisconsin, for all intents and purposes, is also safe blue. Again, it's not impossible for Tammy Baldwin to lose. Wisconsin is a swing state, and the other seat in this state is very red. But this specific race has not gone to a Republican since 1957. This is seemingly the one they will always back blue because they are afraid of another Joe McCarthy, while the other one is the one where they experiment. Michigan is another, this is flippable, but seat. But before we get into that, let's put some F's in the chat for my guy, Hill Harper. He was the only Senate campaign that I was actually very interested in, and I'm going to drop a major, big, hot take here. Hill Harper was the only guarantee for a blue Michigan in November. I might say, you might get worried about that, but like, no. I'm not saying that Michigan will not go blue now that Hill Harper is not running. I am saying that, in my opinion, based on like tertiary stuff that I'll get to in a second, if Hill Harper was a Democratic nominee, Michigan would have voted blue for the president no matter what, and would have voted blue for the Senate no matter what. And I'm basing it off the fact that Hill Harper is a pro-ceasefire candidate. He ran in the state that the uncommitted campaign was. Remember, the uncommitted campaign did really well. If we factor in the uncommitted voters, the margin that Biden won in 2020 massively drops. Let's just say that all the people who voted uncommitted just go, we're not going to vote for Biden or Kamala or whoever in the November. And that number drops massively. He still has the margin, but it's significantly lower. And let's just say maybe some of those guys are stragglers who are like, for the time being, we might back. But like, my point is, the only way he could have guaranteed those people to come back is if you pick a pro-ceasefire candidate to go on the ballot as well. Hill Harper could vouch for Kamala. So like, I've talked with her, we've had meetings, it's a strategy, and I think she's a very good candidate. It's like, well, if Hill Harper says it, then that must be true. Elisa Slotkin, being an AIPAC-backed candidate and literally a CIA asset, I don't think she's got that magic. But I don't think she's really going to lose. The seat's been blue for a while, and the Republican running in the seat is a Trumpster, so I mean, I think she might do well. I mean, but this is one of the things that has led to this controversy because a lot of people have been putting it like, but was this seat blue because of the person who was running in it? Or is the seat naturally blue and any blue would have done? I don't know. That's something that's yet to be determined. We'll have to wait and see. Next is Nevada. 2022 might make you worried about Nevada, given that it elected a Republican governor and the Senate seat was decided by a 0.77% margin. And that was Harry Reid's seat that was very close to flipping. So there is some worry of a guaranteed flip. And Jackie Rosen is not 100% guaranteed to win. No one is. But the race seems more blue than red. And it stems from a problem that many saw as the reason why the GOP failed in 2022. And it's Sam Brown. The Republican nominee is too close to Trump. Ironic considering Trump endorsed his opponent in the previous cycle. But better late than never, I guess. And Sam Brown is just... a lot of people are a little bit questioning of the superficial factor of Brown in the race. You see, a wounded vet is a very noble person to see in public service. But, like, the nature of Brown's injury and the nature of other vets that have been in Congress's injury, Tammy Duckworth, Dan Crenshaw, I'm pretty sure there are other disabled vets that have been in Congress before. The nature of their injuries looks different than the nature of Sam Brown's. Sam Brown's injury, if I remember correctly, is a burn. Like, he has severe burns all across his face and body. Meanwhile, Tammy Duckworth, she doesn't have... I don't remember the exact state of her injury, but, like, she can't walk, I don't think. She has, like, prosthetics. And Dan Crenshaw has an eye patch. Those are more visually appealing injuries. I mean, absolutely no disrespect to Sam, but his injury does not bode well for his campaign appearance. I know this because Nevada has actually had a candidate run very similar to Brown with almost the exact same injuries, and I have covered him in a video before. Man, if I had a nickel for every time U.S. veterans horribly burned ran for senator of Nevada, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The next race is Arizona. This one is also regarded as relatively competitive. As much as I can shit on Kari Lake for being too close to Trump and being a literally terrible candidate, but she did only lose by 0.67%. So it's not impossible for her to win. I still think Ruben Gallego is probably going to win, but it's not impossible. Next race, Ohio. Skibbity Rizzler Sherrod Brown is probably going to win. Montana. This is the race. Like, literally, this is the race that people have been paying attention to. To an extent, a lot of people were paying attention to West Virginia when it was still a race that could potentially have something, but after Manchin dropped out, like, Montana basically became the next race. This is, again, the race. Literally, I think this is the race that controls the Senate. A lot of people have been trying to point out a lot of issues. Again, like, it's coming, like, a lot of the Dems' problems are coming back to bite them in the ass, because a lot of people are pointing out, like, in 2022, I think it's 2022 or 2020? Yeah, 2022, I think. Where it's like, they should have been putting a lot of money into someone like Cherry Beasley or Mandela Barnes, and maybe they would have won the Senate. And it's like, and then maybe they would have a edge this election. Me personally, Barnes put money into Barnes. Barnes was 1 point off! Cherry Beasley literally came off a statewide general election loss when they touted her out to be the nominee. They kicked fucking Jeff Jackson and Erica Smith and Richard Watkins. They kicked them to the curbs immediately just so they could do it. North Carolina Dems are fucking shit show. They are the ones who are fucking us over. They're the reasons why Dems did not do so well. They fucked up 2 Senate races that people were like almost pretty much guaranteed. 2 Senate races. 2 that could have determined the difference in this race. They were like, now we're going to read the nomination twice. That'll work. Did not work. And then somehow I'm the one who gets shit on, even though I pointed out the fact that these strategies are terrible, stupid, and don't work. And when they fail, somehow I'm shit. But yeah, everybody knew that Montana was going to be a very important Senate seat. And again, everybody knew, including the Montana GOP. Which is why they literally tried to rig the seat so that they would win. The state party literally introduced a bill that turned the Montana Senate elections into a top-tier primary, set to go in effect in 2023, and then go out of effect in 2025. I wonder why. That bill has currently failed, but people are still trying to see some issues. I think literally there's been a story that recently happened where Trump name-dropped the Libertarian Party nominee in the Montana race and said that he has a plan for that person, and that person said, I have no idea what he is talking about, and if you look at polls, it's pretty close either way. Sometimes it has like a slim, like more recent polls have open borders, he beating John Tester, But overall, I would say it's still generally a toss-up. Quick recap. As of now, 49 Dems, 50 Republicans, with 1 seat left. Now let's move on to the presidential race. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is a very extremely hot take. Like, quite literally, this take is so hot that people get burned just by walking next to me for having this take. Like, I don't even have to say the take, and they burn. That's how hot it is. I have thought that Donald Trump was cooked this election for a long time. Like, guys, let us just take a look objectively of the American political landscape after Trump's win in 2016. 2018 Blue Wave, Biden became the most voted for presidential candidate in U.S. history. Dems gained the Senate that same year. They staved off an alleged 2022 red tsunami. I still have no fucking clue why people thought that. People legitimately were just like completely convinced that the Dems would be completely wiped out in 2022. And it would be the road to like Trump getting into office in 2024. And in every state, local race, referendum, it all always goes back to Dems winning. And it's probably just media doomerism. You're being fed a narrative by the media. That's literally, it's always this. It's always this. It's always Biden is failing or the Dems are failing and all this stuff. It's always this. Never that for the Republicans. It's always that. Literally, Dems will do well in the midterms. Well, you see, this is kind of where it's going to end. When the off-year elections kind of come around with, like, the local state referendums, they're not going to do so hot because, well, a lot of these people are just not that active in these years. Dems do really well in the off-year elections and do well in local referendums. Well, you see, Dems are able to, like, put for, like, this kind of people, like, the more radical member, like, mainstream people, they don't really show up to the off-years. They don't really show up to the midterms. When the presidential races roll around, that's when a lot of the people who are on the Republican side, they're going to show up in droves, and they're going to, like, make the Dems lose. The Democrats win overwhelmingly in the presidential race. Yeah, when everybody's around and everybody's doing this, this is how it's going to be. When the next year's off years kind of happen, this momentum's going to go away. Dems do well in those off years. Well, you see, it's always that. It's always that. It's always that. Literally, it's just like, there's always like an excuse. Dems do well, they're fucked. Dems do bad, they're fucked. Republicans do bad, the Dems are fucked. I don't know why. And yeah, I'm no stranger to that too. I've shit on the Dems multiple times, and I've like doomed on their chances as well. Like I've shit on them before, even for like massive fuck ups that they've done. Not spending money on Mandela Barnes, NC Dems with Cal and Cherry, allowing AIPAC to battle in their primaries, and why Dems fucking the national race is over. Remember, Dems have done a lot of fucked up things, like done stupid, brain dead, stupid things, and have done just terrible things. Hillary not campaigning in Michigan. What actual crack was she smoking? She was on crack cocaine when that happened. Why would you not campaign in Michigan? And Dems have had massive failures before. In 2018, the 2018 midterms, they did well in the House. In the Senate, that's a little bit of a more complex story, considering they lost 4 senators when they were projected to lose 1. If I remember correctly, the net gain loss is like a little fucking different. But yeah, they didn't do so hot. They were only projected to lose Heitkamp. They lost her, Donnelly, McCaskill, and fucking Nelson. And with that objectivity, let's look at Trump. Trump didn't even win the popular vote in 2016. He lost by the massive margin in 2020. His policies on COVID were fucking atrocious. So fucking bad. Remember, they were so bad that literally everybody went in droves like, we gotta get this fucker out. That's how bad his policies were. After that, he did the fucking January 6th insurrection. He has literally said, fuck all the so-called moderate mainstream things that were the reasons why I fucking won in 2016. The reason why he won in 2016 was because he didn't run to the Republican fringe. He was able to talk to them and talk to the Republican moderates, and somehow everybody would agree. The dude literally fucking went on stage and it's like, gay pride flag, yummy, great, wonderful. Now he's campaigning on like the fucking like most radical anti-trans bills ever. His electoral base is fucking QAnon. That is his electoral base. Like, and then he's like, I'm gonna endorse all these big candidates to run in these elections. They all fucking lose. And he's taking credit for ending the massively popular Roe. I know that I might be falling for Democrat 2016 mindset. I'm not saying that Democrats shouldn't work hard for the election. That's where I differ. I'm not saying, like, Dems see stuff like that and then go, well, we don't have to work hard. No, I'm saying, do you see that and also still work hard? Like, I don't see Trump as an electoral threat. I think Trump is not going to win. I'll just say that straight up. I don't think he's going to win. I didn't think he was going to win before. Even with our fucking dementia patient in chief, I didn't think he was going to lose. Like, I thought that Biden was still going to win because it's just like, we don't give a fuck. Trump's just that bad. I could be just being naive because I have more faith in people than going, this guy is fucking stupid. We spent 4 years shitting on him and how he was a terrible president, and we, in droves, voted against him. Let's just put him back in the seat. That just doesn't register in my mind. Like, literally, the only time this happened, that anything like this has happened in U.S. history, is fucking Grover Cleveland back in the day. And the American people were objectively more stupid. Like, I'm pretty sure that you could analyze, like, that election. I don't have time for that because I'm trying to analyze this election. But, again, I just thought that is a bridge too far. I don't think that, like, I'm not saying that, nobody who's like Trump could be elected as president of the United States ever again in the future. Not saying that. But I'm saying that Trump himself is cooked. I don't think that he has a chance. Not helped by the fact that he's trying to make really stupid, like, shifts for his campaign strategy just so he can pretend that he lost in more states than he actually... that he won more states than he actually... He's, like, making plays in New York and New Jersey. He's doing that just so he can say, it was rigged against me. I'm so popular in these states. Literally, like, fucking, like, Jim Crow, like, rules where it's like, you see, if we eliminate all the black people, I actually win the election. Like, guys, this is that just hit me just now. Yes, this is literally just, like, fucking, like, literally how Jim Crow works. Where, like, the Republicans, back in the day, when they loved black people, were like, you see, if we actually add the vote totals of everybody in the state, we win by this margin. But then, the racist KKK Democrats, who, would vote for the Republicans nowadays, would go, you see, but if we actually remove all of these voters, we actually win. If we count only the pure voters... the pure white voters, we actually win. And that's basically that's how it is. I have another part in here in this rant that talks about this. It's not that Dems it's not that Republicans have more voter turnout. They want less voter turnout. That's always a fact. That is a fact. Why do you think they want to institute all these voter ID laws? Why do you think they hate the idea of having, like, I guess I'll get to it when I get to that part. But yeah, Republicans just don't want more voters. Because if they did, then the Republicans would lose. But before we get into analyzing the election, there are two things that I'm going to talk about that are related to the analysis of this election, but I think you might want to hear this. Because the first thing I'm going to say right here and right now is, I am not using Alan Lichtman's fucking stupid model. I've never used it before, and I'm never going to use it. Alan Lichtman can eat a dick. He is a fucking hack. That man is a hack. That loser. I have been having people every fucking day ever since, like, the 2024 election came out. Magically, everybody just started to, you see, if we actually use the Alan Lichtman model, blah, blah, blah. That model is stupid and fucking stupid. It is dumb. I probably... Comment right now if you want to see me make a full video about how this Alan Lichtman model is fucking stupid, because I will do it I will do it. This man is a hack. He is the personification of like smug liberal eliteness. Like, oh, we see, I can actually use this model to actually properly predict the election. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That man is a hack. And I'm gonna give 5 reasons why. 1, man is so stupid. He's like, oh, I can actually predict the outcome of elections really well. Man couldn't even fucking predict the outcome of his own election. 2006. Alan Lichtman ran for Senator of Maryland. He got 6th place. Yeah, that guy, we need to trust this guy to give us election analysis. You guys shit on fucking Hillary Clinton for losing and like, go away, we don't need your campaign advice. And it's like, but Alan Lichtman, we need him. This dude's a fucking loser hack. His model itself is so vague and worded weird, it literally makes no sense. That's the thing, it makes no sense, and he kind of makes it up as he goes along, because of 2 things that happened ever since he started using his model and started going on news services. But, oh, we see with this model, we can accurately predict the election. Because I think this is how he did it. He took this model, and then he went through past presidential elections, and then he's like, okay, this model shows that this outcome was inevitable. And then he's like, by using this model now, I can predict the outcome of the next election. He started doing his little parlor trick, and then everyone started being like, oh, interesting. Then came the 2000 election, where Alan Lichtman, using his fucking model, was like, you know what? I actually concluded that Al Gore will be president of the United States. Then, when he was proven objectively wrong, instead of going, my model didn't work this time, well, I guess I just have to rethink the model, or maybe trash the model altogether, maybe come up with a new model, maybe use the information from this model that I've gained, and, actually think about how this model could be improved. Wrong. No, he did not say that at all. He said, well, actually, my model predicts the winner of the popular vote. So technically, my model is actually accurate, and it didn't fail. Sure, he never said that at any point prior, and just said that immediately now because Al Gore won the popular vote, and he didn't win the presidential electoral vote, even though that's how he beat the fucking president, and his model literally shows that, because his model predicts the winning of the people who... This is what makes it so weird. The dude used his model to go back in time and predict presidential elections that had the winner not be the person who got the most popular vote, who got the most electoral votes, and for some reason doesn't include that in a factor in his thing that's supposed to accurately predict the presidential election? Really? But okay, you know what? Whatever. Now he's on the record saying that his model only predicts the winner of the popular vote. Alright. Then in 2016, Alan Lichtman makes a very bold prediction that goes against a lot of what the mainstream media wanted to hear, which is actually very interesting. He made the prediction that Donald Trump would win the presidency in 2016, with, of course, mainstream media mostly laughing him off, like, you fucking stupid idiot, you don't know things, cause we're rich liberal elites, and you're a rich liberal elite, so why don't you understand things like a smart person? But Alan Lichtman said, my model that predicts the winner of the US popular vote shows that Donald Trump will win the presidency of the United States. Yeah. He did not win the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. And yet, somehow, he's like, you know what, no, this counts. What do you mean it counts? What do you mean it counts? You predicted wrong. You said you predicted the popular vote winner. And the popular vote winner did win. And the dude, to this day, still goes on mainstream media and says that his model is actually infallible because he's like, well, you see, the 2000 election, that had a lot of shenanigans, so technically my model is right. It's like, no, it's not. If you've been paying attention, you understand that the model is not infallible. Because if he's only predicting the popular vote winner, then he does not get 2016 in that total. If he's predicting if he says that this is actually a predictor of the electoral vote, like the overall winner, we're predicting the overall winner, not the popular vote winner, then he can't get 2,000. But he still wants to have both of them. Like, he can't have both. That's the problem. He can't have both, and yet he still wants to pretend that he has both. And what's worse is when I looked into the fucking, like, thing where he looks into the previous, like, elections for his model, I noticed something interesting. In 1868, he ran 2 different scenarios, and somehow both of the scenarios that he runs magically leads to the winner of the election being the prediction, even though it makes no sense. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But so yeah, Alan Lichtman's a fucking hack, and you shouldn't care about anything that he says. And I'm tired of anybody who even remotely says, like, we need to use the Alan Lichtman model. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck about the Alan Lichtman model. I don't care about this man. I do not care about this man. But anyways, considering the way this channel started, I guess I'm pretty sure you all probably want me to talk about the third parties in this election. Yay! Like, yeah, we get it. I'm sure that you all probably want me to talk about how I believe on whether or not Jill Stein, Cornel West, or RFK Jr. will play a role against Kamala Harris in some capacity. Ignoring the fact that I think that the spoiler effect is kind of, like, stupid in general, none of these 3 are fucking threats. Like, I'll be crystal clear in explaining this. Cornel West, Jill Stein, and RFK Jr. are not threats to the Democratic Party in this election anytime soon. These 3, and I'll say this, the Republicans and whoever wanted to, like, try to, like, use them as spoilers, it doesn't fucking work. These guys suck. They all 3 suck. Terrible. The GOP literally tried to make RFK Jr. run the spoiler election, but it makes no fucking sense. It makes 0 sense. The dude is literally just a MAGA Republican, and yet somehow he's supposed to be like, Democrats vote for me. No. What? And all the fucking, like, I'm gonna say this. RFK supporters are fucking brain dead. They have as much brainworms as RFK Jr. does. Because what the fuck does he have? Like, even Cornel West and Jill Stein have something to pretend to care about. What is RFK Jr.? Look, he's literally, like, everything mixed together. Like, a return to form. He like, return to stability. Outsider. The fact that he's like, I am RFK Jr. and I'm running to be an outsider. Really? What? RFK Jr. an outsider. Like, I've seen people that are literally, it's just gotta be the vaccines. It just has to be people who are fucking stupid on vaccines. Because I can't imagine all the people who say it's something else. No, it has to be the vaccines. Because there's nothing else there. His platform is vague platitudes and establishment talking points. What are you talking about? There are people that literally will tweet about, like, how they hate Israel, and then you find out that they're actually fucking supporting RFK Jr. George Galloway supported RFK Jr.'s primary bid to Biden, which cemented the truth that George Galloway is purely anti-Semitic and is not pro-Palestinian, because RFK Jr. is a anti-Semitic Zionist. And I remember that I got shit on by some fascists for literally insinuating, like, you're stupid. Do you really think RFK Jr. is anti-Semitic? It's like, the Kennedy family fucking aided the Nazis. What are you talking about? Like, literally, look up JFK's older brother. That dude was like a fucking rabid anti-Semite because his dad was too. The other 2 are just a fucking joke. Like, Jill Stein is literally just an absolute joke. She's got like 15 smears against her anyways that are probably gonna ruin her chances anyway, so it doesn't really even matter. And Cornel West, he has no viable political party infrastructure because he keeps flip-flopping from whatever fucking party he wants to do every day. I'm gonna run as the People's Party candidate. I'm gonna run as the Green candidate. I'm gonna run as the Justice for All candidate. I'm gonna run for the Legal Marijuana Now party. I'm gonna run for this party and this party Dude literally ripped off fucking Howie Hawkins and couldn't even do the campaign right. Howie went from the get-go, he's like, I'm going to run primarily on the green, and I'm also going to seek the nominations for other minor political parties. Interesting. Magical. What an interesting concept. You don't have to announce this party, and then this party, and then this party, and then just... And you didn't have to drop out of any of them. And, like, I saw this video recently where it's like, Jill Stein was, like, telling Cornel West to drop out, be like, you guys, Cornel West, you can't run in the race, because if you run, then I can't win. That's not what she says, but it's like, that's basically what she's saying. Like, if you run, then I can't be the person that the left wants to suck off every day. Because, let's be real. The analysis of John B. Anderson's 1980 bid is the perfect example of how the third-party candidate is going to be for this cycle. The people who are backing RFK Jr., the people who are backing Jill Stein, people who are backing Cornel West, literally, absolutely, none of them were going to vote for fucking Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, or anyway, they wouldn't have voted for fucking Bernie. They would not. Like, if Cornel West dropped out of that bid and then ran for the Democratic nomination, all of his supporters would have disappeared. Because they don't want to back Dems. Cornel West and Jill Stein are for people who want a virtue signal about, like, I'm leftier than thou. I'm the true leftist, which is why I'm going to vote for Jill Stein and Cornel West. Because they feel the need, like, they need something to, like, make them feel like they are really anti, like, we really hate the anti, like, we are so anti-establishment. Like, they want that. That's what they want. You're running as an ego boost candidate. Like, they're running vanity bids. They're fucking Marianne Williamson. That's what they are. They're running vanity bids. They want you to feel special. I didn't need to vote for Marianne Williamson to feel leftier than thou. I guarantee you, I am to the left of all three of these people. I'm to the left of Marianne Williamson. I'm to the left of Cornel West. I'm to the left of Jill Stein. I 100% guarantee you, I am to the left of all three of them. And I don't need to, like, virtue signal about being leftier than thou by supporting any of them. I didn't have to feel that. I don't need that for Marianne Williamson, and I don't need that for Jill Stein, and I don't need that for them. Like, I mean, to see how empty that their bids are, literally, they have, like, a fucking list. Like, Jill Stein had a meme that was going around, like, of this fucking list of, like, oh, you see, Jill Stein supports this policy, this policy, this policy. Trump does not. Biden does not. And they literally just haphazardly glued Kamala Harris to the thing. I'm pretty sure they didn't even fact check if Kamala Harris supports or opposes any of the things on the thing. Because it's not the point. The point is, they want to virtue signal. Oh yeah, we're so cool. We don't need to vote for, we're not going to vote for Kamala Harris. We're not going to vote for Joe Biden. We're not going to do this. They want a virtue signal. That's all Jill Stein supporters want to do. They're diehard Green Party supporters anyways that are not going to vote for fucking, like, Joe Biden or anybody. They're not going to vote for the Democrats no matter what. Even the Jill Stein, like support for, like, 2016. Do you really think a lot of the Green Party people would have backed Bernie as a Democratic nominee? In a good, faithful, honest world, you would think so. No. You would have gotten, like, of course the Bernie or Busters wouldn't have flipped to go to Jill Stein, but there still would have been a lot of them who would have voted for Jill Stein regardless. Jill Stein's virtue signal for Bernie meant nothing. So yeah, again, I don't see any of them as threats. They are not threats, they are distractions. And the fact that all these candidates are so shit is kind of proof. But guys, North Carolina is going to have the most fucking interesting ballot that it has had in its history. There are going to be 7 presidential candidates on the North Carolina ballot this year. Like, 2018 me would have came in his pants instantly when he hears that. Even more excited when he sees who the options are. Jill Stein, a virtue signal Jill Stein, yes. Cornel West, a virtue signal about Bernie, yes. But the fact of the matter is, there have been years since 2016, 2018, and I've seen how things have gone. I've seen the 2020 Green Party presidential primary process. I've seen how this shit is run. I saw how the sausage was made, and I don't want to eat it anymore. That's what makes thinking strategically so easy. If I had good candidates on the ballot, I would be enthused. Like, I'll say this right here. I'll be upfront. If there was a good third-party candidate on the ballot, I would vote for them. But there isn't. Jill Stein sucks. Cornel West stinks. I've seen nothing from either of those campaigns that show that they are a good strategic voting strategy. Guys, literally a week after I thought in my mind, I picked in my mind, like, okay, I think I'm going to have to vote for Joe Biden. A week after that happened, Cornel West announced his bid. I thought about it for like 2 seconds before thinking, no. And literally nothing that has happened since has even remotely convinced me otherwise. You say that Kamala or Biden has to come and get my vote? Well, so too does Stein, West, and any of the other candidates. And so far, I've seen nothing from him. I've seen something from Kamala, and that is the prevention of Trump getting into office. That's good enough for me. I don't even think I'd vote for them on a fucking ranked choice voting ballot. Maybe West. Maybe it would be West Kamala, but I don't know. Even then, I'm being generous. But regardless, yeah. I've rambled about those two things long enough. Now let's talk about the actual predictions for the race. Similar to the Senate, there are a couple of areas that are considered swing, flippable, etc. And Wikipedia has kind of like, they shifted a little bit. And currently, on the Wikipedia page, as far as I read when I wrote this, there are 12 areas that are considered like toss-ups. Rather than taking one pollster's analysis, I took all of the pollsters that were there, and then clicked the thing that makes it so that all the toss-up ones are closer to the middle, and then I counted off all the areas that had a toss-up. Even if it's like lean, toss-up, lean, even if it's like safe, toss-up, safe, I'm like, I'll count them anyways. And again, notice I said areas, not states, because, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. One thing I should mention is that some of the analysis that puts it toss-up was from when Joe Biden was still the candidate. But I'm just like, fuck it, who really cares? Let's just get into more things to talk about, whatever. Alright, so we'll go in order. Of course, we'll talk about the ones that I think, like, I'll start off with the ones that I think typical with analysis. Ones I'll start off with, or the ones I think are pretty much guaranteed will go one way or another. And then we'll make our way to the ones that a little bit more complicated. Alright, so first, this one is going to be relatively easy to talk about. Minnesota, Tim Walz's state. It's only here really because the results in 2020 were like right around the margin that a swing state is. Like, I think it's literally like right, but like, I think like the margin for swing state status is literally like 10 points, like a 10% lead. If your seat is like, if the results are like in between 10% and 1%, then it's considered a swing seat. And I think Minnesota was like literally like right around the 10% mark. Like either like slightly under, slightly over. And so it's like, it kind of counts. But again, like, it like, let's be real. Even before the swap, this one was safe blue. So yeah, safe blue. Virginia. It's a swing seat asterisk, as you all know. It's been trending bluer as of late. Like, I mean, we all know. Like, Virginia's kind of like generally started shifting blue. It, of course, still has a streak of red. Glenn Youngkin did win a governor's race, so it's not exactly impossible for the state to go red. While Biden was in more trouble than Kamala, and there was a Kamala v. Trump poll that does have Trump winning, but it is just one. There's another one with them tied, but otherwise it's kind of been shown, like the polls kind of show relatively safe blue seats. So yeah, blue it is. Maine, bland centrism if it were a state. The last time that they voted for an ideological demagogue was in 1984, with the last time they voted red in general being 1988. Maine is also interesting due to the fact that it is really weird in how it divides its electoral votes. Because rather than most states that have a winner-take-all system, Maine actually divides their electoral votes up. They have 4 votes, 2 of which go towards the statewide winner. Then they have 2 congressional districts, and each congressional district gets 1 vote. And the winner of that district, they vote for who won that district. Now, District 2 is a really conservative-leaning district, so that one typically goes to a Republican. And District 1, relatively Democratic area, so it goes blue. But statewide, it's going to go blue as well. Like, I mean, I know Kamala isn't necessarily like the biggest centrist ever, but I mean, in the world of centrism, someone who's kind of like a liberal is more closer to centrism than fucking fascist, so I'll go with a liberal. But this talk of split electoral votes has got me wondering, what about the other state that does this? Nebraska. Nebraska, if I remember correctly, has 5 congressional, not 5 congressional states, but 5 electoral votes. 2 of which go to the statewide winner, and then 3 go to each of their 3 districts. And Nebraska District 2 has a little bit more of a blue leaning than the rest of the district. And, well, that has led to the state Republican Party to desperately try to stop this from helping the Democrats. With a very recent thing that I pointed out was being how, they tried to literally get rid of it in the lead up to the 2020 election, but Ernie Chambers, prominent socialist, black, atheist member of their state legislature, stopped it. And they tried it again for the upcoming election, and it failed. With a lot of people actually going so far as to say that if it weren't for Ernie Chambers, then there's a chance that the 2020 election might not have gone to Biden. I don't know how true that is, but it definitely is helpful, especially considering some people have kind of worried about a potential 269 split. And if this one is not up for grabs, then, well, it's a little bit of a problem. If Republicans are really so desperate to try and stop it, then it must be good. So I'll have to give it to the Democrats. Not guaranteed, but I'll just give it to the Democrats for now. New Hampshire. Honestly, there's not much else analysis I can give. Blue. Pennsylvania. The first one of those blue wall breaches. But take a look at how Pennsylvania has done since the breach. Re-elected Casey. Re-elected Wolf with an allegedly radical lieutenant governor. They sent Trump packing. They elected said radical lieutenant governor to the Senate. And I know it means little, but they did also send a socialist to Congress, and they also elected Josh Shapiro to succeed Wolf. I would say relatively blue. I say that this one stays blue. These next couple of ones, that's where the fun begins. Wisconsin. It's another blue wall smash state, but Wisconsin is also a good exemplification of what happened after the switch. Biden was doing terribly in the state, and, well, after Kamala, it changed massively. Blue. I guess these are the next ones are where the fun actually begins. Michigan. Now, believe it or not, me and the polls do not necessarily have the exact same view of Michigan. What a surprise. Polls are a lot more favorable to Kamala here. But, they're actually way more positive for her here than they are in, they're way more positive here than they are in some other states. But yeah, I have one major area of doubt that makes this one a little bit more high profile. Remember, Uncommitted won 101,000 votes, over 101,000 votes. Biden's margin of victory in Michigan was 154,000 votes, give or take. Really close number-wise. And let me let you know a little secret. Again, this is the one where I kind of brought this up. Republicans never win through turning people out. They always win by turning people away. They only win when Democrats and Democrat-leaning voters don't turn out. Why do you think they're opposed to DC statehood and other territory statehood? Why do you think they want voter ID laws? Why do you think they are supporting of raising the voting age? Why do you think they fund third-party candidates to try to quote-unquote spoil the election? The more voters turn out, the less likely Republicans win. Want proof? 2016, the elections Republicans claim proved Trump was massively popular, even though he didn't win the popular vote. 59.2% turnout. 2020, the one that they claim is rigged, stolen, or whatever, had 66.6 turnout. Guys, bigger turnout equals Republicans losing. Guarantee you, we had a 100% turnout rate Dems would win every single election. Like, literally, I saw a graphic. I don't know if it's accurate, but it's like the graphic, like, if did not vote was a candidate, and it showed, like, literally, aside from, like, a couple of areas, then, it would overwhelmingly be a loss. Alright, next state, Nevada. Biden narrowly won the state, and the state elected a Republican governor in 2022. That same cycle, they re-elected Masso with a slim margin. And while polls are looking better for Kamala, they still don't have a blue W. But I do believe that the Senate race brings notoriety that will definitely help on both ends, especially since Democrats now have a candidate with a lot less baggage. So despite the consensus, I'll go with blue. Now, these last three are the ones that a lot of people are putting a lot of eyes on. And that's, of course, we'll start off with Georgia. Georgia's been the questionable state. Like I said with Michigan, turnout is everything. Stacey Abrams launched a massive voter drive after the fiasco that was the 2018 rigging of the election by Brian Kemp. For those who don't know, the Secretary of State in Georgia was Brian Kemp. He ran for governor of the state in 2018. As such, he was in charge of voter registration and managing the elections. And he refused to resign from his position until after he won the governor election, thus meaning that he would monitor the election that he himself was running in. Like, he didn't resign. Like, he was called to resign by Jimmy Carter. He didn't even delegate the position to someone else. No, he was like, I will do it. And during Kemp's administration, he would purge 1.4 million voters, with 700,000 being purged in 2017 alone, and 340,000 people were canceled for having moved, despite the fact that they did not move. And people who were trying to register or update their voter registration seemed to have no luck, with Kemp intentionally delaying the registration of 53,000 voters in disproportionately black neighborhoods. I wonder why he didn't want these black voters to be voting in an election with him on the ballot. I wonder why, especially considering he was going to be running and possibly electing the state's first black governor. I wonder why he didn't want them to fucking vote. I wonder why. He must have had very, very valid reasons to not let them vote. It couldn't possibly have anything to do with the fact that he literally just wanted to win. And remind you, this is also the same guy who helped secure the fact that Donald Trump did not win Georgia in 2020, because that was literally a bridge too far even for him. Republicans, all Republicans like to rig elections. That's the real fact. Republicans love rigging elections, but they can't do it too far. They have to do it in the, vagueness of our constitutionality. Since there's no law that says he had to resign from his position, he got to stay in. Much like how there's no law that says that gerrymandering itself is bad. But it's a law that says, racial gerrymandering is bad. As long as it's not racial, which they can literally just say, oh, well, we didn't do it because they're black. We did it because they were Democrats. And in the wake of all the shenanigans, Abrams was like, that's weird. So she led a massive voter enfranchisement campaign in Georgia to make sure that the state would have people ready to vote when the next election comes. And Abrams is the reason why that blue Georgia was a thing. Why Georgia was a thing. I literally say this. Stacey Abrams is the reason why Dems won in 2020. She is a saint. I've shit on Stacey Abrams a lot of times. But she did good. It's actually a good thing. It's actually funny, because with Dems and them crying about Russiagate and all this stuff, they did literally fucking nothing when they were in power to actually fix any of the problems. They did nothing. They just sat there and just waited. Abrams, when she saw a problem, she went to work. She's like, okay, people in my state are being disenfranchised. Let's re-enfranchise them. She put in the work. She got a bunch of black people to enfranchise themselves and hopefully turn out to vote for Dems in November. However, as you all know, the Republicans, they hate three things: democracy, black people, and girls over the age of 12. That last one has absolutely nothing to do with the current election issues. I just want to mention this to the one Trumpster in the audience that's showing up for some reason. You are endorsing a alleged pedophile. So, MAGA cultists decided to take over the state's election board. So I have no faith that they're actually going to fulfill any actual democratic means to make sure that the election goes fairly. Polls, as of now, are basically... It's basically this. If there's a Democrat poll, they win. If it's a Republican poll, they win. For the sake of this, for the sake of giving this a partisan lean, even though I'm kind of like toss up on this, for the sake of giving this a partisan lean, I'll give it red. Let's just say red for the time being. Because I said like definitively red the last time, and this one I think is more like a lean red. Arizona. Arizona is similar to a lot of the states that I've said before. Nevada, in the sense of it geographically, and it being a swing state, but I argue that it's actually a lot more like Pennsylvania in a lot of regards. You have to analyze the trends of the state since 2016 to actually give an analysis of their politics. It was a swing seat that had three Republicans at its head: Senator Jeff Flake, Governor Doug Ducey, and of course, most famous of them all, Senator John McCain. And as we all know, Trump and McCain hated the fuck out of each other. McCain calling out Trump's less than stellar platform, and Trump saying that McCain was a loser because he got captured and tortured in Vietnam. One of these things is not like the other. And let's look at the state's trends since Trump was elected. Sinema was elected, Kelly was elected, Biden was elected, Kelly was re-elected, and Hobbs was elected. Honestly, I'm actually kind of half convinced now that it's like a fucking curse. Like, when McCain died, he was just like, I'm going to put a curse on Trump so that he can't win Arizona for some reason. Well, actually, not for some reason. Like, there's an obvious reason. There are a lot of Hispanics in the area, and Hispanics don't like Trump. So, I'll give this one to the Dems. And last, but certainly not least, North Carolina. My home state. The state that literally everybody is fucking, like, supposedly goes crazy about. The state that Biden actually himself wanted to win, that he solidified. Like, he wanted to win North Carolina. Like, that was one of the big things that he said right before he dropped out. Like, he wanted to make a big play in North Carolina. Last time I did predictions, I put North Carolina in red. And if we were to go by every single metric that I've said in this video, whether it be the rating system that other pollsters have done, or just generally looking at the polls, or looking at how I kind of view the trends of the state, I should just put this as red and be done with it. And yeah, if you analyze the fucking state's politics, literally the only thing that is like not like trending rightward was the governor and the attorney general, who were the only two Dems on like the statewide level, I think, to like survive. Maybe there was like another statewide Dem, I could be wrong, but I think it was like one statewide Dem, like a really smaller office that like probably had like significantly less votes than fucking governor or president or senate. But if you analyze like federal races, again, like there really wasn't anything good really showing for Dems in North Carolina. Like, Dems rigged the nomination for Cal Cunningham in 2020. They pushed fucking Jeff Jackson out of the running, and they lost massively. That same election, we tried to send Trump back to the White House. Then in the other Senate race, Cherry Beasley, after they did the same fucking thing, chased Jeff Jackson out of the race and then put her in. It didn't work then either. And I've talked shit about the Democratic Party in North Carolina for that reason. I've done it in this video as well. But there is one thing that makes me a little bit hesitant to do that. And that one thing is Anderson Clayton. For those who don't know, Anderson Clayton is the 25-year-old new chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, elected in 2023 after the abysmal showings as of late. And Clayton's pitch to people was essentially, we're going to take the North Carolina Democratic Party, smash it down, build a new thing, build it from scratch, complete overhaul. And, well, ever since her election as NC Dem chair, she has been showing some interesting things and changed some aspects of the North Carolina Democratic Party that people like me and other people have been critical of. As far as I can tell, no election that happened under her watch was massively rigged in favor of someone else. Like, I mean, yeah, when fucking Josh Stein ran for the governor's race, he won massively. And when fucking, what's her name? When the person who ran for lieutenant governor, Rachel, is the lieutenant governor candidate Rachel Hunt, if I remember correctly? Like, yeah, in races like that, yeah, there is still a clear favoritism, but like with Cal Cunningham, like the Cal Cunningham situation is fucking crazy. The fucking North Carolina Democratic Party and the fucking state, like nationwide Democratic Party, literally were like, yeah, Jeff Jackson, we don't want you to run. We want you to basically stay in the entire primary in a basement collecting big donor money, and we're gonna use that money to like fuck over your candidate, like your opponent. And then Jeff Jackson's like, I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to run an actual campaign with people, and then we're gonna find someone who will do that. And then magically, Cal Cunningham, who was running in the like lieutenant governor's race, magically is like, I'm magically running for Senate now, hooray! And magically, all these donors are just magically putting money in my pocket. That's crazy. Like, as far as I can tell, that hasn't happened as of yet. One of her big pieces of contention is the fact that she comes from a more rural area, and that, well, she lives in that area, and Dems are basically completely just like fucked off her area because it's not winnable. And, you know, it's kind of a common thing with a lot of like with a lot of state political parties where it's like, yeah, we're kind of doomed, so we're just not going to run in certain areas. Even though it's like, she basically decided, no, let's not do that. As of now, all 50 of the state Senate elections have Democratic candidates, and all but 2 North Carolina House races do as well. I guess those 2 must be like really far gone in order for like them to not really even like these are like, I think Anderson would acknowledge like, yeah, a lot of these candidates are sacrificial lambs. They're not gonna win. We know for a fact they're not gonna win. But it's like the same thing with like Greg Murphy or whatever. Like Greg Murphy, like I think last election or the election before that, he ran like unopposed, and just like, why run unopposed? Why don't like yeah, they're not gonna win. They're gonna be a sacrificial lamb, but like, why not? And that's the thing. Now with that fact that there's the candidate on the ballot in each of those areas, now each of these candidates can actually campaign, not just for their seat, but also can bring attention to the nationwide races. And maybe bring attention to like races as well. Like I mean, maybe this is like the plan. Like, oh, we're not going to talk about this. We're going to talk about these like races below us. Because that's also another thing. Like, candidates like this will bring attention to other races and increase turnout to people to support in other races. And that's a good thing. And there's also one more thing that makes me go a little bit like, I can't necessarily give like NC away to Republicans quite yet. And that's because of the North Carolina Democratic Party's power. Because despite the fact that Anderson Clayton is just 25 years old, Gen Z, like a year older than me, but like despite that fact, she's used her power very effectively and very strongly. Riddle me this. Where was Kamala Harris flying to and fro from when the whole, like, we should replace Joe Biden thing was happening? She was coming here. She was having meetings with fucking, like, the North Carolina Democratic Party and fucking Roy Cooper. To and fro. Like, she just kept flying to and fro. Like, Washington here, Washington here, Washington here. I think literally the last meeting she had before becoming, like, the Democratic de facto nominee was here. And why? Well, what did Anderson Clayton do before becoming the NC Democratic Party chair? She was a field director for Kamala Harris. Elizabeth Warren. So I actually am going so far as to say that if it weren't for Anderson Clayton, I don't think Kamala would even be the nominee right now. Dems wouldn't even be in the position that they are in now without the North Carolina Democratic Party. That was unthinkable like fucking a year or two ago. I literally was like, North Carolina Democratic Party is fucking cancer. And with that, I can officially designate North Carolina as a toss-up. Because, I mean, again, there isn't a much factor right now that says that Kamala Harris is going to win North Carolina. I think there's like a poll here and there that shows her winning. But, for the most part, the polls are basically just like, like numbers go up for Kamala when they were extremely down for Biden. Like Dems were already starting at like a low range, and now they're kind of like doing good. And if you've been paying attention, that means that I'm giving the prediction that the electoral vote is going to be 287, 235 with 16 to spare. So either way you look at it, it's a Kamala victory. And last, but certainly not least, I'm going to go with the House predictions. Now, this is why I saved it for last, because I haven't looked into all the House races yet, because I don't think all the House races have been formally finalized, so I can't really look into each of the swing states and swing districts, because I don't think all of them have actually gotten candidates yet. And I'm not even going to go so far as to predict number-wise, like how the races are going to go. I'm just going to give a general vibe-based prediction on the House. And with this one, I'm going to have to say this. I'm basing my predictions all on one man. One man is giving me the predictions as to, like, this is why I'm going to say, I guess I'll just say it. I guess I'll just say the man. It's all because of George Anthony Zabrowski Katara Ravachi DeVolder Santos. Why? Why am I basing my prediction on that person? Let me explain. His victory in the New York District 3 race came from an absolute failure of the New York Democratic Party, with the state being blamed for the reason why they lost, they have a slim loss nationwide, alongside new and gerrymandered seats. But a lot of people kind of like blame, like, if the New York Democratic Party just didn't fucking suck so bad, then Dems would probably be in a better position. After George Anthony Zabrowski Katara Ravachi DeVolder Santos' loss, New York District 3 held a special election where they re-elected Tom Sweezy, the Democratic candidate, like the Democratic representative, previously. And I'll be real, I kind of predicted the same thing's going to happen in a couple of other swing seats. Like, I mean, I think mostly the New York ones, especially considering like some of the ones are kind of like just like shifting back to like kind of like ideas. I think one of them is like I mean, as much as I don't like the guy fucking Mondaire Jones, I think he's got a much better shot against this guy than fucking like Sean Patrick Maloney did. So basically, even if I kind of predict that fucking like just the New York Dem seats will flip back to blue, not all of them, I don't know. Because again, I haven't checked in all the races, I haven't checked all the polling, but generally I do think that the slim bread is just going to go to slim blue. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might be noticing, wait, are you actually predicting a Democratic Party trifecta? Yes. Yes, I am. I am, in fact, yeah, I'll say it here right now, Pluribus Unum is predicting that in 2024, the Democrats are going to have a Democratic Party trifecta. It's going to be a very slim trifecta, and it's probably going to be a shitty trifecta, to be fair. I don't think the Dems are going to be doing a lot of great things under this trifecta, which is probably what's going to lead to whatever fucking happens next to happen next. It beats a fucking Republican trifecta. Let's see how the numbers change from now into November. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to notify when a future video of mine comes out. And if you want more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.